Hello, people. So, what have we got here? Today, I have a idea I want to get across that I think could be helpful, and this is to represent the kind of the perceived, lived, feeling quality of the inside of emptiness in regular day-to-day life, once it is achieved in pictographic fashion. So here we have a Krita, which is like Photoshop, and there's this monstrosity of a picture I've constructed here. I do swear I've got better artistic talents. I'm pretty good at drawing with a pencil and paper, but less so, less so digitally. But anyhow, so what have we got here? We've got a person meditating, and then I've got sort of different layers here to represent kind of different facets of the mind or different representative qualia. You got a person, their sort of felt sense of a body sensations, the sense of time and space. That's what these axes represent, and then all their sort of wackiness and thoughts. And they're in a room meditating. So now this video here, it's supposed to be about really getting across how emptiness is perceived in a way. And let me just run through one thing that can happen. So one thing that happens is people can be doing a concentration practice, so they're focusing on the breath at the nose. And as they start getting more concentrated, more focused on one particular object of concentration, other subsets of the mind will start being down-regulated and start turning off because they're no longer being fed with your attention. So they're being deprived of a kind of mental energy, and they wither away, and these things defabricate in time. Now you're getting very concentrated. Now the thoughts are kind of disappearing, and you got the sense of the body, and then eventually, the body disappears, and you just kind of realize there's no hard body. There's just sensations. There's just in sort of this cloud, energetic atmosphere type way. And then even, the sense, the idea that you're in a room will disappear. So you've got your eyes closed and you're no longer getting external stimuli. And so you kind of forget that you're in a room, and that whole construct sort of is left from the conscious mind. And you get this sense that you're just kind of this vast, spacious awareness type realm. And you've got your sensations, but say the sensations are dying down, and you just got the vast spaciousness with time and space, and then the space deconstructs, and you just got pure consciousness, pure awareness, aware of awareness, which is not really the case, but people say that. Although, not. I'll talk about why that's a wrong view at a later date, but then say even consciousness blanks out. You've got the nothingness. The nothingness, which is not a something, but a real nothing. And then say as your meditation loses steam, things start fabricating again. And you return back to a more kind of normal existence here. Now, if that happens, which it can happen, is cool, and certainly recommended and worthwhile, this doesn't necessarily bring the fruits of emptiness. Because, well, I will say just one thing. There is something interesting to talk about the order in which things can defabricate, and the way in which some qualities necessarily must manifest simultaneously together because of dependent origination. But this video is not going to be about that, so don't try to interpret too much the order in which I've put these layers. It's not about that. I didn't put too much thought into that. That's for that can be talked about for enough time, which is a very interesting conversation to have. But so none of this gave sort of insight into deep emptiness, because when you return out of that deep meditation, say, you're still back with a kind of very sort of ardent existence of the room and the thoughts and such. Really, how I try to visually represent the insight into emptiness is, instead of it like the layers just turning off, more so it's like the opacity filter turns down, right? And the opacity here represents kind of veracity, your ability to really like truly buy into all of these concepts and representations in the mind, including the sense of the mind itself, get turned down so that they can still be there, but you permanently kind of seeing through them in a way. And I don't mean this like such that, actually visually in experience, things have become sort of more transparent. It's not like you're, walking into glass walls here where you got so much insight into emptiness, you can see these things in front of you and you're like strangely walking into things. It's not like that. In fact, it's almost like you're perceiving things more clearly. You're getting more detail on these aspects so that you actually see through them. And when you get a sufficient enough insight into emptiness, it's like the opacity meter can never fully go back to 100%. So the long-lasting insight into emptiness really is, you're walking around, experiencing day to day. These things, these fabrications can still be here. You can still have your mathematical thoughts and work with them, express them, take them seriously, and be interested in them. But there is a permanent lack of confusion about their actuality. You know them to just be model representations, and that everything you are aware of, including awareness itself, is a model representation, and the model is not objective reality. The model points to something beyond itself that the model can't ever fully capture. And this is known in a way that's not intellectual, meaning you don't think yourself into this perspective. You're getting to this insight through another kind of perspective. Maybe you're pulling some attentional trickery, meditation practice moves, or you've got it so on hand that it's just available to you. Perhaps this is not even intellectually known to you. You might not know this stuff at an intellectual level to be able to voice it, to be able to express it with words. I think the intellectual understanding is you've gotten there through thoughts, through concepts, through language. This is about not using those cognitive faculties, but other aspects to be just clear, instant understanding of the lack of solidity, objectivity to everything in existence. And so, before you have this insight into emptiness, this permanent insight into emptiness, where the layers of the mind are not opaque to you in a way. The reason you can't access these sort of deeper substrates of just arising and passing of sensations, or the sense of a boundless space and awareness field or such things, is because these higher order processes, the top-down processes, obscure your ability for your attention to dive down. I'm using this metaphorically. I don't actually mean diving down in space, but to dive down to the deeper levels, to a sense of just being aware, the sense of spaciousness, the sense of, and even beyond that, nothingness, real nothingness. And I'm not going to get into the detail of what is really meant by absolute emptiness. It's for enough time. So, you have to do this much longer training of very slowly getting very concentrated and removing your mind from distraction to defabricate all of these things to get to such a nothingness. But when you've got the more permanent insight into emptiness, it's not required that you defabricate all of these things fully, because because these layers are not obscuring the deeper perceptions. So you can very quickly just dive your attention down to notice nothingness, to notice boundarylessness, to notice a subset of nothingness. If if I could turn the opacity down on this layer of nothingness, I would, but that doesn't do anything here, because even the idea of emptiness, nothingness, is a concept itself, is a fabrication itself. But anyway, we're not going to go into that. Here, I'm just trying to demonstrate, pictographically show what it is like to have an insight into emptiness and, walk around and live with that. And I hope this makes sense and was useful to people. So we'll leave it there. Be good, one and all, to yourself and to others.